ॐ श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ श्री सद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ ध्यायामि चिन्मयानन्दं गुरुदेवं महामतिं प्रेमपूर्णं क्रियाशीलं सदा लोकहिते रतं कृपालुं सुन्दराकारं समर्थं सत्यदर्शिनं वाचा तत्त्वप्रकाशिन्या शोकमोहविनाशिनं। ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। ॐ नमो नारायणाय। 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 ॐ ऋतगं सत्यं परं ब्रह्म पुरुषं कृष्णपिङ्गलम् ऊर्ध्वरेतं विरूपाक्षं विश्वरूपाय वै नमो नमः। ॐ नारायणाय विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णुः प्रचोदयात्। Hari Om. A very warm welcome to the 8th series of talks on Vishnu Sahasranama. I am sure all of you have heard the previous ones. Therefore, we straight away continue from what we have actually left. Alright, now we will chant the Dhyana Shlokas. Om Shuklambaradharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye. Om Shantakaram Bhujagashayanam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadharam Gaganasadrisham Meghavarnam Shubhangam Lakshmikantam Kamalanayanam Yogihridhyanagamyam Vande Vishnum Bhavabhayaharam Sarvalokaikanaatham. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We will chant from the 25th shloka. Please join. Avartano nivrittatma samvrtas sampramardanaha ahas samvart वर्तको वह्निरनिलो धरणीधरः सुप्रसादः प्रसन्नात्मा विश्वधृग्विश्वभुग्विभुः सत्कर्ता सत्कृतः साधुर्जह्नुर्नारायणो नरः असंख्येयो प्रमेयात्मा विशिष्टः शिष्टकृच्छुचिः सिद्धार्थः सिद्धसंकल्पः सिद्धिदः सिद्धिसाधनः वृषा हि वृषभो विष्णुर्वृषपर्वा वृषोदरः वर्धनो वर्धमानश्च विविक्तः श्रुतिसागरः. We will chant this again. This is the shloka we have to deal with now. वृषा हि वृषभो विष्णुर्वृषपर्वा वृषोदरः वर्धनो वर्धमानश्च विविक्तः श्रुतिसागरः. We have about 9 names to be seen in the shloka. Vrishahi, Vrishabha, Vishnuhu, Vrishaparva, Vrishodaraha, Vardhanaha, Vardhamanascha, Viviktaha, Shrutisagaraha. The first name is Vrishahi. We must not forget all these names are meant for our mind to transport from the pluralistic experiences to the supreme one and only truth, which is Brahman. And for the mind to connect to the Brahman, there is a, what do you call it as, a travel via media, we may say. And that is all our gods, what we have. And the mind accepts these gods and is able to connect itself towards the personified God, Ishtadevata. And here we are talking of Bhagavan Mahavishnu. However, we must keep in mind that all the varied forms are nothing but expressions of the one and only truth, Brahman. With this in mind, we continue our thoughts on Bhagavan Sri Vishnu. Vishnu is also called as Vrishahi. What does that mean? Vrishaha dharmaha punyam. Vrishaha means the one who shines as the very dharma and also called as punyam. He is the what do you call it as, destination which we reach through punyam, following dharma. And Bhagavan himself is nothing but the very personification of dharma. Sukha sadhanani varshayati iti punyam vrishaha. This is a very beautiful explanation given by Acharya Shankara, where he says, Sukha sadhanani varshayati iti punyam. Punyam is being showered by whom? Bhagavan, who is called as Vrishaha, through what? Sukha sadhanani. Sadhanani here means all of our actions. Sukha sadhanani here are those actions which brings happiness, which brings quietude of the mind, which brings joy. And this joy is not the pleasures which we experience, but a joy beyond all whims and fancies and beyond all things and beings. In fact, we have studied this several times before. We have always said what? Happiness not because of anything, but happiness in spite of everything. And how do we get that? This happiness is gained only when we follow dharma. Righteous living, right contact, right way of our communication, our transaction, our approach, our association with not only the world but also with understanding the Bhagavan. So here it says, Sukha sadhanani, it rains all good things because of which one becomes happy. Meaning what? Bhagavan always blesses his devotees and brings happiness. Then the question comes, Swamiji, if you say Bhagavan blesses his devotees and he brings only happiness, how are we facing sorrows and pain and suffering and calamities, etc., etc.? Does that mean Bhagavan does not bless everybody? Bhagavan blesses only a few, and especially those people who are very rich and very wealthy and they have everything, and he does not bless the have-nots. No. Bhagavan is very clear. I have to come to deserve his blessings. Please be very attentive here. As Gurudev, Parampuja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda often says, you may never get what you desire, but you can never escape from what you deserve. And what I deserve is earned through my own actions. Bhagavan plays no role in that actually. What Bhagavan does then? Bhagavan does in this fashion. He blesses in this fashion. When my thoughts are positive, when my thoughts are righteous, when my thoughts are serving the society, then Bhagavan strengthens that very thoughts. Think. Bhagavan strengthens that very thoughts and influences me in a manner of saying to get more and more such thoughts by giving successes in those very actions which are righteous. Bhagavan, this is another very interesting point. Bhagavan also blesses us when we do wrong thoughts, when we do wrong actions. How? By giving the proper deserving karma phala, whereby I understand the mistake what I have committed and turn towards righteousness. This is also his blessings. Please note, he again blesses us by giving very, as though we may call punishment for our own wrong actions, but it is in a manner of blessing in disguise. This is a very common phrase we use. What is the blessing in disguise? Suffering. At least through the suffering, I realize my mistake, I repent for the mistake, I regret for the mistake and evolve. This evolution from the wrongdoing, wrong contacts, wrong transactions, wrong thoughts to the right set of all these is nothing but Bhagavan's blessings. Therefore, since he showers blessings, both are good for us. This is very important. Never ever say that this is bad. Nothing in this world is bad. Why nothing is bad? Everything directs us towards that. The only mistake what we do is we are not conscious of whatever we are doing. We are not conscious of whatever karma phala we are experiencing. We are not conscious of that path which Bhagavan shows us to trek through these very experiences and the results of those actions. When we come to understand that, you will understand that Bhagavan's blessings are showering like the rain. Therefore, sukha sadhanani. What is sadhanani? Those by which I will become sukha jivi. Think. Therefore, varshayati. Varshayati means he rains his blessings at all times. For once we must be very clear. Bhagavan will not punish heart of hearts. Bhagavan has no dvesha, heart of hearts. In fact, it is out of love that he is giving us little suffering so that we understand, like the mother, like the father slaps the child. Maybe father may be a little stronger and maybe harsher, but both are for what? For our development, our growth, our maturity, our evolution. Similarly, the results of actions, our own actions, teaches us lot of lessons. We must be awake enough to grasp that teaching and grow further. This is nothing but his blessings. Therefore, he is called Varshaha or Vrishaha. Here, Varshayati iti punyam Vrishaha. Vrishahi. And then what? Vrishabhaha. This sloka we will find lot of this word in various forms. We will see. What is Vrishabhaha? Varshati eshaha bhaktebhyaha kamaniti Vrishabhaha. Again, he is the one who blesses all our desires. Again the question comes, Swamiji, all my desires are not fulfilled. If he says he rains blessings that all my desires should be fulfilled, he is intelligent, please. He is not like human mind. He is intelligent to make us understand what we deserve, and that he will never restrict. He will bless in fullness. In completeness he blesses whatever we deserve. Whatever desires we deserve. How do I say so? Any desire that is not detrimental to me or to the people around. Any desire which desires, because there is nothing called desire, it's only desires in plurality, in multiplicity. However, if our desires are righteous, if our desires are meant for my growth and others' growth, if my desires direct me towards Bhagavan, then those desires he will give a plenty. Therefore, he is also called as Kamaniti Bhaktebhya Varshayati. Kamaniti meaning what? Our own good desires. Therefore, he is also called Vrishabhaha. Then comes the next word, Vishnuhu Nama, which we have seen very elaborately, which is the second Nama, and it's here now on the 258th Nama, and you will also find it in 657th Nama. Vishnuhu Vyapakatvat Vishnuhu we have seen then. Now Acharya says, Vishnur Vikramanati iti Vyasoktaha. Bhagavan Shri Vedavyasji explains in Mahabharata, Vishnuhu Vikramanat, the one who is, again the same meaning, all pervasive as told by Vedavyasji. Continuing, Vrishaparva, this is another very beautiful word, beautiful Nama of Bhagavan. Vrisharupani Sopana Parvani Ahuhu Paramdhama Arurukshoho Ityartha. One refa is missing. Ityartha Vrishaparva. Okay, there is a little spelling mistake there, typographical error. Vrishaparva means, again, Vrisha we know, we have seen. Vrisha means dharma. Parva means the steps towards dharma. And here the Nama indicates Bhagavan himself is the steps towards him. So he is the means and he is the end. Very interesting. He alone is the one who gives the steps of dharma. In fact, again in Bhagavatam it is said, he is the very steps to reach him alone. Hence he is called as Vrishaparva. How do we say? While we are living in this world outside, while we are engaged in the whims and fancies of this world outside, we know, we are very much aware that bhakti is the best sadhana for a common man to reach Bhagavan. And what is this bhakti? Love for Bhagavan. Love is common. When love towards whims and fancies of the world, then it is called as infatuation. It is called as desires. It is called as raga. But the same love, when it is towards the higher, when it is niswartha prema, it can only be with Bhagavan. Niswartha prema can be only with Bhagavan, and everything and anything else is swartha only. Swamiji, what about Guru? When did we say Guru is different from Bhagavan? Think. In fact, in our Shastras we say Mata, Pita, Guru, Daivam. It is not a hierarchy. Think. What does the Upanishad say? Matradevo bhava, Pitradevo bhava, Acharya devo bhava, Atithi devo bhava. Think. Matradevo bhava is, there are two ways of understanding. We have explained earlier also. Matra is the first step. Pitra is the second step. Guru is the third step who leads us to the last step. Daivam. Mata, Pita, Guru, Daivam. This is a very oft-quoted phrase. And then what do we say? Matra Devo Bhava. Mata is nothing but Bhagavan. Pita is nothing but Bhagavan. Why? It is because of them that we have got this birth. It is because of them I got this human birth. However they are, whatever they are, for me to have got this human birth, and which only can take us to the higher, which only can teach us the higher, the human birth is a first step, and that my parents have given. We may say, no, I cannot consider them as God. Why? They are all doing so many things. That is none of my business. Think. This one we have seen very many times. We have seen Yetatrayam Durlabham. What is that? Manushyatvam, Mumukshutvam, Mahapurusha Samshaya. We are all so blessed. We are already human being. One problem solved. Though we may behave animalistic, though we may think animalistic, we have already got a Manushya Janma. That itself is a great blessing. Probably not out of our punya karma, probably because of our parents' punya karma. They have got us as human being. Therefore, for that sake, we must consider them as Bhagavan only, irrespective of anything else. Mata, Pita, Guru. Guru is the one who teaches who is Bhagavan, who gives us the knowledge of Bhagavan, who makes us understand this is the Bhagavan who is none other than that Supreme, and we have to surrender to this Bhagavan and through him to that Supreme, and we have to understand that I am that Supreme from the standpoint of my very inner nature. That Supreme Brahman, Tattvamasi, is said by Guru, and make us realize Aham Brahmasmi. Again it is because of the grace of Guru. Therefore, Guru also is Bhagavan. Bhagavan himself comes in the form of Guru. Bhagavan himself comes in the form of Mata. He himself comes in the form of Pita. Think. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo, Maheshwaraha, when we think, accept him as the Ishvara Tattva. At the same time, Guru is whom? Tvameva Matacha, Pita Tvameva, Tvameva Bandhuscha, Sakha Tvameva. What does this mean? Everybody is nothing but Parabrahma Swarupa Paramatma, and this is being explained to us. This is being told to us. This is being taught to us by whom? By the Guru. Therefore, Guru also is Parabrahma Swarupa Paramatma. Therefore, bhakti towards the Guru, bhakti towards the Bhagavan, bhakti towards the Supreme is common bhakti. What is that bhakti? Love towards the higher. In case we have not understood properly, then we may say the bhakti between parents, bhakti between guru, bhakti towards Bhagavan, they are all different. No. Bhakti is one and the same, where I have no demands, where I have no anticipations, where I am indebted. In the Sanatana Dharma, when the Vatu takes Brahmacharya Diksha, where he takes the Brahmopadesha, the tuft which is given actually should be only 3 hairs. What does that indicate? Pitrirana, Shastrarana and Devarana. That is why even the Upavita 3 threads are there. Yajnopavitam, Paramam, Pavitram. That Yajnopavita Dharanam is to indicate that I am indebted to my parents, my Guru and Bhagavan. And these 3 basically appear differently but are one and the same, that supreme principle alone. This jnanam is given by Bhagavan through the Guru. Therefore, he leads us from where we are and gives us step by step evolution in our thinking, and through that in our lifestyle, and finally takes us towards the higher. Therefore, he is called Vrishaparva. Alright. Vrishodaraha, another very beautiful nama. Udaraha means stomach. And prajaha varshayati iva udaram, because he gives birth to all the praja. Praja here refers to all creatures. And therefore, because he is a cause for all the creatures, appears like he is called as Udaram Iva. Udaram Iva meaning what? He is a very womb for the whole entire universe. Asyaiti Vrishodaraha, one who reigns beings. One who reigns meaning what? Here reigns is used because of Varshati, who brings in all the creatures, all the whole creation itself. Therefore, he is called as the womb of creation, which is Vrishodaraha. Vardhanaha, another good and wonderful name. Prapancha rupena vardhate iti vardhamanaha. Vriddhi is a word which is used very commonly. Vriddhi meaning what? Growth. The one who is in the form of growth. What is this growth? The first point in the form of growth is evolution and the process in evolution from unicellular organism to the most complex human being. From unicellular organism to the multicellular organism, plants, from amoeba to plants to animals to human being, there is a beautiful growth. Darwin's theory gives a beautiful explanation towards that. Is it not? We have read this in science also. So there has been a growth with reference to the universe. Then with reference to me, I was completely unmanifest. Then I manifested as though as the very fetus in the mother's womb. And then I came out, and then there is a growth. This growth I have not initiated. I cannot do anything. It happens. Is it not? Even within the womb of my mother, I was just one sperm or a ovum, and then together it became a fetus. Then inside the womb also there is so much of growth seen. The Shodasha Samskara explains very elaborately. We intend to take that later. As our classes like this, we intend to take Shodasha Samskaras, where Garbhadanam is such a very important aspect. and how beautifully it grows inside, and what is the growth within. In the first month, what is the growth? In the second month of pregnancy, what is the growth? In the fifth month, what is the growth? When does the limb start forming? When does the mind gets activated? When does the mind become fully activated? All these are beautifully explained in science as well as Vedas. In fact, science is nothing but an extension of Veda. Think. This evolution, after the child is born, again the child grows. We don't do anything. We may claim the child has to be very healthy, therefore I may give some nutritious food. I may give some Ayurvedic herbs and things like that. I may probably give that kasturi or something. Why? The child should become very bright and brilliant. All this our extra fittings. But child grows. Without all this also, child grows. Who is that one who is initiating that growth? Is Vardhanaha. Bhagavan alone. The growth of the mind also is Bhagavan, but Bhagavan grows. As I told you earlier, when I give the right thoughts, Bhagavan blesses. When I take wrong thoughts, Bhagavan blesses and gives us properly. Think. So there also he is the very growth in. Physically, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, in every aspect of our personality, we grow, and this growth is nothing but Bhagavan's blessings. Therefore, he is called as Vardhanaha. Vardhamanaha cha. What is the difference? We will see. Itham Vardhamanaha api prithageva tishtati iti Vardhamanaha. Prithak meaning what? Here he is the very universe, and he is the all the difference in the universe as though, and in that particular what do you call it as a creation, Bhagavan, he himself is. In and through he himself is. And therefore Vardhamanaha cha. And then comes Viviktaha. When we say Vardhamanaha, he himself is. One, he blesses. Two, he himself is in and through. Then the question comes, does he not get attached? Does he not becomes one and this one? Is he not attached to all those things and beings and things like that? Because he is everything? No. Viviktaha, that is the difference. Viviktaha here means what? Oh, the previous this one there was a slide mistakes. Itham Vardhamanaha api prithageva tishtati. Prithageva means what? He is there, but he is not there. He is into everything, but he is different from everything. Meaning what? He initiates everything, he gets everything done, at the same time he remains as the Sakshi. He remains as the witness. He is not indulged. He has no attachment. He keeps himself away. He is distinct and independent of the changing universe. Universe, there is so much of growth. We just now saw how the whole universe, individual as well as total, there is so much of change. Individually, we know we are aware of our own changes. Totally also to a certain extent we are aware. There are so much which we are not aware. Once place with full of water, ocean, everything, suddenly becomes a huge hill. Geography changes. Is it not? One volcano can create so much of land and so much of havoc in the land, and sometimes good also. All these are destined and designed by Bhagavan. At the same time, he is a Sakshi. He remains a witness. He remains totally distinct, being, watching, and at the same time allowing everything to happen. And he is not unaffected. He does not undergo any change, but everything changes. He remains unaffected. Therefore, Viviktaha. Shruti Sagaraha. Anna, beautiful name. Shruti Sagaraha. What is Shruti? Shruti is Vedas. Vedas are called as Shruti. Sagaraha meaning what? That Shruti which is it's an ocean. Ocean meaning what? So many varieties of expressions of the same Supreme, and each one can adapt oneself to one particular Shruti which he or she is enjoying, would love to. There are some people who love Veda mantras. Some people who would like to know to chant Bhagavad Gita. The classes are going on, you must be aware. Some people might say, no, those are all very high for me. I will simply sit for Nam Sankirtan, and Krishna Rama Govinda is very beautiful for me. Shiva is very wonderful for me. Therefore, fine. All these are given to us in the form of Shruti by Bhagavan. Rather, one step ahead, Shruti is nothing but Bhagavan himself. Veda Rupaha Brahma. Therefore, Shruti Sagaraha. Why is the Sagara said? Shruti is meaning what? There are so many. Earlier days, we have heard this 10 times earlier also. Every guru in his heat of meditation, in the seat of meditation, he could hear the Shruti and he transferred that Shruti Jnana to his Shishya. Shishya Shravana Matrena. He heard and he transferred to his Shishya. Like that parampara was going on and it was scattered everywhere. And we are very much aware, Veda Vyasi brought all of them together. So many millions of Veda Vakyas are lost already. Whatever was available, Veda Vyasi brought it together with a compassionate mind. He knew people like us will come in this world and we would have lost track very badly. We would go astray. We will become absolutely irresponsible. World will become totally chaotic. At that time, Shruti is required, and people, because they have no pure mind, they cannot retain the knowledge. Therefore, it requires manifestation of those sound into words. Therefore, he created this Shruti. Vedas were brought into books and offered to us. Think. And because there are so many, he had to collect all of them and put them into 4 Vedas. But how many Shruti Vakyas are lost? Nobody knows. And these Vedas themselves, along with Puranas and Itihasas, Ityadi, Prakarana Granthas, etc., are umpteen in numbers. Huge in numbers. But what do? Like the rivers, so many rivers, all of them come and flow towards the ocean. And what is the ocean? Is Parabrahma Swarupa Paramatma. Since similar to all rivers flowing towards the ocean, Shruti also has got various identity as though. We have Upanishads, we have what we call it as Prasthanatraya, Brahma Sutra, Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, and hundreds of Prakarana Granthas. So many are there. All of them are compared to Sagara, ocean. And therefore, Shrutayaha Sagaraha Iva Atra Nidhiyante. Nidhiyante meaning it is a very treasure. Iti Shruti Sagaraha. Shruti are considered to be the greatest treasure. None of our, this wealth, what we have, material wealth, cannot be called as wealth at all. They are not wealth at all, to be frank. They are materials. Real wealth is our knowledge of the Supreme through these Shrutis, and therefore he is called as Shruti Sagaraha, ocean of wealth of Shrutis or Vedas. With this, the 28th shloka concludes. We will start the 29th shloka and we will continue tomorrow. Subhujo durdharo vagmi mahendro vasudo vasuhu naika rupo brihadrupa shipivishtav prakashanaha. Subhujo durdharo vagmi mahendro vasudo vasuhu naika rupo brihadrupa shipivishtav prakashanaha. Subhujaha durdharaha vagmi mahendraha vasudaha vasuhu naikarupaha brihadrupaha shipivishtaha prakashanaha. Prakashanaha. 10 namas are seen here. Subhujaha. Who is Subhujaha here? Shobhanaha bhujaha jagadrakshakara asyaiti Subhujaha. The one who has beautiful arms. We are used to this word Ajanubhava. What is Ajanubhava? The one whose here the hands touch the knee when you stand straight, not while bending. Bending you can even touch the feet. But while standing straight, the arms are so long that it even touches the knee. Such a person who has got that long hands can be called as Ajanubhava. Bhagavan Ajanubahu, correct, thank you. Ajanubahu. Bhagavan Shri Ramchandra ji, Bhagavan Shri Krishna ji, all of them are said to have, are described in the Shastra as Ajanubahu, whose hand touch the knees. And therefore they are called as Shobhana. Shobhana means beautiful. Bhujaha jagadrakshakara. Another very beautiful word Acharya explains. Long hands meaning what? He stretches his hands to everybody and protects them. Rakshakara. He has got a long hand. We have some examples like saying, we leave a long rope, we say. What do you mean by long rope? We give maximum opportunities. Bhagavan here has long hands, meaning he gives up plenty. He is a Dayalu. Therefore he is called as Subhujaha. The one with mighty and unruffled arms. One meaning is the one has got beautiful arms. The another is he is a compassionate giver. A very important point. We are only accumulators. We everything we want. How much ever we have, we are not happy. Is it not? We are not at all satisfied. Think. Even if we have 7 cars, we will say, let me take an 8th car. Why? I can get depreciation through income tax. Think. All of us, even when we are 80, 90, 95 not out, still we are wondering how much I can acclaim, how much I can possess, how much I can aggrandize. What are we going to take when we go? Think. Not even 1 grain of a sand can we take when we go. But then we are accumulating. There is no giving, there is only accumulating. In case by mistake our hand gives something, there is something behind. Hidden agenda. What is the hidden agenda? If I give now, he will give better later. I can milk more things from him later. Again with that intention only. But Bhagavan is not so. Bhagavan is the one who only gives. Param Puja Gurudev says, give it away. What? That which cannot bring you to that supreme. That which cannot take you to that ultimate goal, it is not worth having. So give it away. Idam na mama. Body, you don't have to give it away. It will go. Whether you like it or not, want it or not, believe it or not, accept it or not, know it or not, it will go one day without information. No SMS message, no WhatsApp message. It will just disappear, gone. Think. And no notice given. At that particular time, whatever you are, tata. Think. And when you go, nothing you can take. Therefore, and until that, he blesses, and your going also is blessed by Bhagavan. That is also his compassionate. Therefore, it is said, he has got a long arm. We will continue tomorrow. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.